All right, guys, what's up? Welcome back. Evan Aldo. Smash the like button if you enjoy the content and subscribe to the channel and check out the links below. Let's get into this. So right now, what are we looking at? We saw a bit of a Bitcoin jump up. If we look at some of these lower time frames, well, that was yesterday, but today we saw a bit of a jump up. I'm just curious about how much we have come up. 1.4%, about to get a trigger wave on the 10-minute right here, and looking at, potentially another trigger wave on the 5-minute, on the 6-minute right there. So that's kind of what we're looking at. That could turn into kind of a bullish div, potentially bringing us upward more. Right around 28K, high 27s is going to be your 200 weekly moving average, which is huge. Given that, given that we've gotten this close, I would expect us to test it. And if we look at a fib level, I'm just curious, we did hit this fib level. Now we're hitting golden pocket. So my guess here is if you can confirm, especially this kind of trigger wave, VWAP coming up on the 10-minute, you got a potentially good shot of jumping up a bit higher. But then if you look at money flow on kind of your 5-hour, combined with your VWAP now coming down on the 2-hour, 1-hour gap to RSIs, things are kind of looking a little bit more bearish. So it is interesting. Got a 15 bear on the DBSI on the hourly. So that's what we're looking at right there. When you do look at, if we zoom out a little bit here, things look very good on the 12-hour through the daily right here. Especially you got the green dot, VWAP coming up, money flow coming up. So this would 15 bull as well, DBSI. This would make it seem like we could even potentially jump through the 200 weekly moving average and maybe even get up to 29K over the next week or so potentially. And then if you look at the daily, that reinforces this even more. Daily is a good time frame. You haven't seen good curvature and money flow crossover in a minute. Obviously, right here, you did come up higher, then rejected. That could be kind of what we would be looking at. Maybe come up a little bit higher and reject. We got to see though. Last time we saw, curvature where, it almost is, wow, money flow crossover, yeah, decent curvature. You came up a little bit more. So when you do look at this, it makes me think potentially come up a little bit more, scare out a lot of people trying to go short, maybe come up to, a boring jump up to like 29K over the next week or two. Could be absolutely possible if it does play out that way. Money flow coming up on the 2-day as well. 3-day trigger wave kind of about to, not about to, but VWAP starting to come down. But you got your gap to RSIs. Those usually give you something. So, you could argue they already gave you something, but they probably could come up, a little bit more here. So that's what I'm looking at, especially with the daily. It's almost hidden green dot too on the daily. So we'll see what happens in the very short term. Like I mentioned, now we're almost seeing it's coming lower, and we're almost seeing you're not going to form that bull div. So yeah, that's interesting here. Maybe a lot of FOMO longs kind of came in, and then now you come down a bit for that. Maybe come back down to, I don't know, 27.6 or something. Draw another local fib. That pocket right there, 27.6, like I said, and then you jump up higher potentially. That could be what we could be seeing in kind of the short term here. So, and then if we give a kind of the broader picture here out of this kind of formation right here, this is a kind of reverse head and shoulders type thing forming. If you do break up from there, right around here could be interesting, 28. So low area right there, that pocket's going to be huge. And then, I guess you could argue we could do it out of this, if you do break up higher from, you do form a full like rounding bottom and break up from here, where would your technical target be at that point? It's almost 30K. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, obviously. I don't think you're going to make it much above 28.7, but we gotta kind of see in the short term. In terms of a trade right now, I would say most likely you can try to do some type of long. Some type of long would probably work out. Look for that 10, that kind of low risk, high reward, that 10-minute trigger wave. If that does form, we bounce off of say 27.6 at a stop loss, maybe below the DBSI area right here. And then take profits maybe here depending on your risk reward ratio. So keep that in mind. Let's move on to Ethereum a little bit. And by the way, guys, if you want more details on the trade setups and all of that, exclusive TA, check out the Aldo Empire VIP Discord. Link down below. We're giving away a 1-week free trial for a limited time. Me and actually 3 other analysts are in there that do a lot of great stuff. So if we look at Ethereum, similar to Bitcoin in a sense, good curvature right here, VWAP coming up, and yeah, that's that. I mean, also coming down with your VWAP there on the 2-day, which could kind of end the fun. So it's kind of looking like, you know, you may come up a bit here. Maybe you break through that spider line, you come up a bit more. 15 bull in the 3-hour. And then if you reposition it here, 1687 is potentially a pretty big place. But after that, especially when this 3-hour kind of these gap to RSIs kind of play out, here maybe end of week or something, you start to come back down. That 3-hour money flow crossover looks like potentially a good place to look to go short here. And that's what I'm looking at right now. 10-hour looks pretty good. You know, VWAP coming up, trigger wave forming, could bring you higher. And now if we look at, though, you know, ETH is really starting to get killed against Bitcoin. The thing I'll show you before we look at that chart, what's really a little interesting here is kind of a larger kind of reverse head and shoulder thing forming right kind of the neckline right now. If you were to, let's see, break upward, you could get up to 18. Could get up to 18, especially if Bitcoin gets up to 29. It is possible to jump up to this particular area. That would be right at that spider line. So that could be what we're looking at for the next week or 2 weeks. And if you look at ETH Bitcoin, it's a new yearly low right here. Not too many signs of slowing down. Yellow X on the 3-day as well. I think you're inevitably going to get to this point right here, our June, you know, in terms of ETH versus Bitcoin, our June 22 evaluations relatively soon, probably within the next month or two. So I think ETH is still going to bleed against Bitcoin. When to buy ETH, you should check out my free crypto DCA course, 100% free. Decided to do it free to give back to you guys, give back to the community for a place to kind of DCA into these things. And ultimately, long story short, I'm more looking, I mean, I don't think it's the worst idea to start here for Ethereum, but I'm looking for more of a drop down. And it could, I mean, that was a big jump up. That was a big drop down at the end. So big drop down at the end, maybe we just need that, and you're kind of home free there. Bitcoin dominance as well, not going to spend too much time on it, but generally looking good, pumping up throughout this. I think you're generally going to follow this kind of trend line here and potentially get up to the mid-50s by the end of the year, which was where I think could be a really good place to start DCing into altcoins. So yeah, and if we look at, you know, traditional markets a little bit, they were up slightly today. The main thing, not going to waste your too much time with these, you know, the main thing here, I look at like the 6-hour and the SPY, bull div, money flow coming up, pretty textbook market cipher. I think you could get up to potentially, if Bitcoin gets up to 29, you know, 30K, 28K, who knows? Well, we're almost at 28K now. I think it's inevitably probably going to happen, but 29 or 30K, 430 could be a big point where we come up for S&P 500, potentially reject from there and come back down. So something of kind of this nature and downward. So that's what I'm ultimately looking at right there. People are talking about how yields, government bond yields, you know, 30-year, this is massive. It's huge. Anybody trying to get a mortgage right now? Oh, God. Not a good, not a fun time because these are skyrocketing. But, you know, you do have bear divs forming. Money flow is still strong here. I don't know how much you're going to come down. You might come down a little bit, especially with that 8-hour or the 10-hour bear div, 18 bear there. You could come down a bit more, maybe back to 4.7, which could be a kind of significant area here. So, and your money flow crossover on the 30 could come down a bit more as things potentially recover a little bit, and there's maybe, I don't know, maybe there becomes less fear with less fear of inflation, less fear, especially if oil keeps going down, you know, less fear that the Fed is going to have to keep hiking. And this big drop down on USO right here is a pretty good sign for inflation kind of coming down and us entering potentially a deflationary thing too. That's looking pretty bad on the 20-hour, not too good. And if you look at ExxonMobil, which is interesting, you know, we're hitting this big place again, rejecting from it. I don't know if oil's, you know, completely done here, but you are getting, you know, some more bearish signs. I don't know what's going to happen here. It's a little tough to say, but I wouldn't be going along at the moment with the way the weekly is looking. Maybe that daily, see this daily trigger wave right here, bam, right up right there. Potentially, if we do, you know, maybe come down a little bit more, jump up, you make a higher high, or if this is kind of the bottom here, let's say, yeah, you can come up to that area. Take on target if you break up would be around 132. we'll see what happens here. We got to kind of watch this. As of right now, this bear div on your daily with money flow coming out does not look good by any means. So maybe inflation just kind of marks the end of inflation. Economy just starts slowing. Things generally, come down into the end of this year, early next year. That's potentially what what we could be potentially looking at right here. And anyway, guys, if you want to check out the free course, like I mentioned right here, go to evanaldo.com, click the free crypto DCA course. Also, if you guys want to trade, if you know how to trade, check out the links down below for FAIRDESK, MEXC. Got really good promos. Those 4 links down below are the best exchanges, I think, ones I personally use, the best ones I think to use when you, especially in an environment where a lot more KYC is being required. I don't think any of those will require KYC anytime soon. Also, for most of them, you don't really need a VPN. PHEMEX BT, you kind of probably, or PHEMEX BT you do. The rest of them, usually you could get away with it. So, yeah, guys, hope you have a good one. Wanted to give you guys an update. Have a good one. Goodbye.